Hello, peeps, if anyone's out there. Let me turn the volume up. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. There's the volume. Who's out there? Give me a shout out. What's up, Josh? 222, one of my favorite numbers. Good time to join. Gonna be starting in about 5 minutes, guys and gals. Just keep stacking the paint. What's up, Mike? Southern Illinois, sweet. Thanks for stopping by. Everybody hear me good? See everything good? All right, cool. Yeah, so that helped you at Walmart? Cool deal, man. Yeah, a lot of people just discount it. I knew this one guy who used to do festivals, and he only used black and white Walmart spray paint. He would go to a festival, he would spend $10. He would buy, well, $20. He would buy 5 packs of poster board, 5 piece in each, spend $2 on paint, dollar each can, go do all 20 paintings live and make about $600. Now for someone like that, he was homeless for a while, you spend $20 and can make that kind of money, but more importantly, produce quality paintings with just black and white cheap paint. I was like, okay, I gotta use this stuff, because that's pretty amazing. second or third cancel. Well, because you liked her and you wanted to go to her and she was getting off, but you're right. You know what? You should maybe give it, yeah. All right, guys. So here we go. All right. So if you saw the title, I'm going to be showing you guys how I like to overlap planets. And a lot of this will involve, you know, the technique of the least amount of paint as possible, so it dries faster as well. All right. So let me put some gloves on. I like to use gloves always. Don't like getting paint on my hands because I realized one day after years that as much as I sometimes hate gloves, I mentioned this before, the paint seeps into your pores. It's kind of like the same as breathing it. So I really recommend gloves and mask at all times. All right. Hey, brother. Yeah, John says from California. I see Illinois. Saw someone else say too. I'm sorry if I forgot it. I know it wasn't in the States though. All right, so we got the gloves pumping. All right, so let's do it. So I'm gonna go. I got some gold, some orange, some dark purple, some kind of turquoise. It's called Saint Trapeze. I like a lot. It's almost like a turquoise color, and then white and black. I'm just gonna go with those. I can't count. Let's go with those 6 right there. All right. So let's do it. Want everybody to know, whoever's watching, and I'll mention it again at the end, as long as you're subscribed and you like the video and leave a comment telling me which part you liked, or if you'd like to see me do a video on something else, just be subscribed, like it, and leave any kind of comment, and I'm going to be giving this painting away to whoever leaves a comment and does all these things. So I'll do that tomorrow. Once I get enough comments in the video, I'll go through them and I'll let you guys know. All right, let's do it. Trying to get the things back up. All right, so here we go. Planet Uranus, sounds good. All right. All right, so little. Now notice I'm going to try to do as least amount as possible. I'm going to mask up. I did more blue right here because I'm going to do some foreground textures down here, and I want the blue to come through. So, all right. All right, so I like some of those textures, but I'm going to want more white right there. So I'm going to take some little bit of white, spray it right there. Instead of the magazine, I'm going to take the plastic bag. I have a little more control with it. That came out kind of cool. Maybe go in, do a little bit right there. There we go. I like what that did. So I'm going to use this for the larger one. I think I need a little more texture right there. So let's do a little bam. A little teeny bit of white right there. Same thing. Just kind of, I like to get not the whole thing, but some of it on it. Lift it up, and then just kind of dabble in with the plastic. I'm sure you've done this a bunch of times, but you can get some textures. All right, so I like how all that came out. So right now, to make the video go a little faster, I probably will use some fire. Don't have the blow dryer here at the moment, actually. So I'm going to move these cans back. And I always use just basic, cheap white paint when I do that. I don't ever use the thicker paints. For one, you're going to waste it too. It's too much. There's no point. Gotta move the fan. I'm gonna be using this right here is an old CD with some paint, some tape on top, and paint, but tape on top to cover the hole, and to give it a lid. And the CD is awesome because it's so thin, it allows you to put things on top of it. That's really the whole point of this video. So I know I'm gonna put the CD right there. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this right here. All right, that should dry it. You don't necessarily have to light the actual painting. I just kind of put it a little bit above it. Then maybe just for a couple minutes, just for safety, take something and blow on it here. It's pretty dry in here. It's kind of humid actually, so it might keep the painting wet. So if it's really dry where you're at, then that's gonna help. Especially if you're in the sun, it's probably be totally dry by now. But we're indoors. Let me test it. All right, I think that might be dry enough. See, these aren't heavy. So when you put heavy lids down, metal, the heavier is gonna leave an imprint. So it still might leave a little bit of an imprint on here. I'm just trying to do it for the video, but I can always cover it up with foreground textures, and there's always ways to get around that. All right, so right here, let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of dark. I'm going to use some transparent. This transparent blue. It dries fast. This is the 94 Montana. It dries fast, so it'll go faster. So let me see. Take it up. Take it up. All right, so I'm going to rock it this way because I want to do the bottom half of that orange part. I think that's all we need. I'm just going to give it a little something like that. All right, so I'm going to let that dry. Nah, the CD is very smooth. So the smoother it is, the less it's really gonna stick to it seems to me. But I mean, I guess I've had pretty good luck with it. I guess normally I am letting it probably dry as long as possible. I mean, if you let things dry for like 10 or so minutes, nothing's really gonna stick to it. Unless you've used too much paint. Like I've mentioned before, that can be a big deal. So, but right now, you know, like I just touched that and made that mark, but it's okay because I'm gonna cover that up later anyway with like a foreground. So, but right now, I'm gonna do the fire again. Let's see. So I'm just gonna keep fanning it. Keep going. Yeah, just so you guys know, this will always be uploaded after I'm done, obviously. So sometimes you got to bounce, so you can't check it out. You can come back later. That's why I'm gonna leave the 24-hour thing. So if you come back later, you can leave a comment, like it, and all that jazz. And I will. Hey, I forgot to mention too. Right now, it's got to be anybody in the United States. I gave away the last painting, and actually went to mail it, paid for it and all, but I can't get the guy to hit me back. Jip, if you're on here watching possibly, or watch this video, on my Patreon, you disappeared, I've messaged you. I got it ready to go, and it paid and shipped to you. I just can't get the address correct, but it ended up being a lot more expensive than I thought. So if you win this, or want this, and you're in Europe, you can pay for the shipping, the painting's free. But in the United States, I will give it to you for free. Just a disclaimer. All right, so I think that's dry enough. Like I said, if something sticks, we'll cover it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down. So I'm gonna find a good medium mark. I'm gonna go like right there. So now I gotta shade the bottom part of this next planet, which I'm gonna put over top of it. So I'm gonna take the blue, rock it right here. Make sure you get inside the lip of this CD, this stencil I'm using, so it doesn't show up. So I'm gonna spray right on the edge so that there's no yellow left from the texture. Yeah, maybe hold it down. There you go. So now I'm gonna do that. Let's see, this is gonna be about that big. I'm going to use a little bit of black on this one as well, just to darken it some. Once again, using the cheap paint. And first, I'm going to spray, instead of rocking it, I'm going to spray in this direction so I can make sure I cover the lip of that stencil. If not, you'll lift it up and be like, oh man, you know, like there's still color left from the edge of this planet. So let me go in here, make sure I get that. Cool. I'm just going to put a little bit of black right there so it's a little bit dark. There we go. So just slightly. So now I'll do the same routine. Kind of fan it some. Go back and see if I can see some of these comments I might have missed. Well, this is drying. Yeah, the humidity's crazy. Yeah, somebody mentioned humidity, and so that really is a killer because it's keeping the paint wet essentially. That's all it's doing. Now, one thing, the cool thing about this is because there's a lip, because there's a stencil, a flat, even though it's so flat, there's a bit of a lip on it. When I go to put this down, it's not going to touch the painting at least until maybe at this point of the stencil. You guys understand that? Like, so since it's rocked and lifted up, it's not going to touch any of this. So you can let it dry less generally and do that. So I'm gonna test the edges here. It's a little bit wet. So let's see if I put this down like this. Is it touching? Not really. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll with it. So I'm gonna put it right there. All right. So I'm just gonna roll with those two. Sometimes I may add another little small planet. I'm just gonna roll with these right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish everything else and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, let's do it. I always like to try to add a little bit of color in the space if it's not solid black. I mean, purple, blue, you can do whatever. Just like to add a little bit of ambience in there. Now one thing I'm going to do too, I'm going to show you that will set it back. And so now, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some little bit of stars so I can be done with that. Now I've showed you guys I always just normally spray some paint down and just kind of flick it on a little bit. The closer you get, you do little small ones towards the end. So that'll make it look a little more dreamy. All right, so I'm gonna list this one up first. Okay, so we got that guy. That came out cool. Now, but one thing I could do to set that planet even further back is if I cover some of that planet right there with a spray. The key is, what do I want to use? So the purple that I just sprayed back here could work, but I'm going to go with like a bluish. I like this one I showed you guys. I probably had this can 2 years, and I let this build up every once in a while. I keep it clean, but I let it build up so it's not perfectly sprayed. It sprays like little weird lines, and it looks like kind of like planet rings sometimes. The paint, someone just asked, mostly using Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch for all the color. The cheap Walmart white and black for shading. And this is 1 can Valspar. I like these caps. It's hard to find these anymore. They switched the caps. But so I'm gonna do a tester. So I'm gonna do this. You add a little bit of that in there. Make sure you get it a little bit in front of that planet. All right, so now I'm gonna come in here, lift this up. All right, so as you can see, that didn't stick. That mark is from me earlier on. And so, but that makes that planet further back. So now what I'm gonna do is, don't be afraid to do live shading. It doesn't always have to be done before you put down the stencil. Once you feel more confident, just roll with it. So I'm gonna take this blue I was using, the transparent, come in here and shade some of this, and then take the black. Cover that whole edge up with black. You know, cover that bad boy up. That little mark in there I had, cover that up too. It almost looks like a planet, but. All right, so then I'm gonna do the same. Now remember I had that blue down earlier, and there's some color still from the planet. So what I'm gonna do is take this blue, make sure I don't go up here and I keep it down here. Bam. Now they're set back far apart from each other. All right, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna do plastic this time. Let's do plastic. So I'm gonna take, let me get a bigger piece. All right, so let me find a good piece of plastic here. Plus I'm gonna let that's also too technique, because I like letting, even when I'm gonna do the texture, dry a little bit, because if it's too, sometimes you wanna do it when it's much wetter, you can get different effects. Sometimes I like it when it's dry, because I don't know, it kind of like takes less paint off, obviously, and it looks darker, it looks a little just more realistic. So let's see how it's gonna come out. So I'm gonna go in here, I didn't spray down any clear coat or anything, which is what, if you guys don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but you would normally spray the clear coat to re-wet the paint if it's not wet enough to actually do textures. I think this is still gonna be wet, so. All right, so I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna do a little mountain guy right here. All right, that, I don't know, I might actually need to spray some of the clear coat. I think it might have dried a little bit more than I thought. So I'm gonna take this clear coat. You always wanna use the same clear coat as the main brand of paint that you're using. Now there is no Walmart clear coat, but any of the nicer brands you're using, you wanna use that same clear coat. If it's gloss, use gloss. If it's semi-gloss, use semi-gloss. It might be obvious, but it makes a difference. All right, so I'm gonna spray a little bit in here. Not a lot, all right? So I want the texture to extend over and cover up that little finger mistake I made earlier. All right, so I'm gonna go out to that. That's kind of cool. Then I'm gonna go over here and do another little one right there. All right, kind of like that. I'm gonna make this a little platform right here, actually. All right, so you know that everyone's probably used to doing that and making textures. I'm gonna add a little bit. I'm gonna take the file that I like to use and use this file to take my palette knife and clean it. So I'm gonna come up here, just do a little bit of highlights on these rocks. Just make them look, there's some from the light source coming in over there. All right, cool. So now I'm gonna do another little mountain. I might even do it right here. I probably shouldn't have highlighted that, but it doesn't matter. I kind of have a new idea. All right, so I'm gonna take the cheap black and shade the bottom parts of these rocks. I'm gonna try to go up to the edge. So only the edges of the rocks, you can already see a difference, are actually gonna be highlighted. All right, and I'm gonna cover up that edge I did right there too, because I have a different idea for that. All right, so now I'm gonna take that same blue, and you'll see, put it right here. You'll see it's starting to even do smaller lines now, which I love. And all that is starting to spit the paint almost. I think that's pretty cool. Just gotta make sure I do clean it a little bit so it doesn't totally clog up. So I'll take like a thing and wipe it out. All right, so I'm gonna take some more plastic. I'm gonna do a rock guy. I'm gonna start here. I wanna go up to here. I wanna put like a little ledge right there. I'm gonna get the clear coat again. Almost use the white. You don't wanna do that. All right, just a little bit. Go up here and make a little rock ledge. Once again, take the black, start from the bottom, work your way up, and I'm going to darken that rock edge. It actually looks like now it's almost all one rock. That's fine. Sometimes that happens. Let's see. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to add a little more. Sometimes I'll take the thicker black and actually really darken the bottom with the black, this black. So there you go. It's darker now. And I'm going to take this blue again, spray a little right here. I'm going to leave that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a paintbrush. You get a workable one. I haven't taken care of mine the greatest recently, so that can be a problem. Don't take care of your paintbrushes. They're not gonna work. All right, I showed this video before. Baker City, Oregon, sweet. Nigel. Take the clear coat, spray it into a little cup right here. Take the paintbrush. If you need to clean it, or if it's hard, kind of dry and hard, put it in the clear coat. Kind of soak it in there for a hot minute. This one shouldn't be too far gone. Sometimes if you don't, like me, don't take care of them enough, these things can happen. Let's see, there we go. It's working now. Sometimes you just gotta get all that old paint out of there. It's not even the paint. Whenever you use it, the clear coat to clean it, that dries on it as well. So it doesn't never get totally clean, but it's good. It takes all the color out. All right, so gonna get an old scratched piece of poster board now. Gonna spray down some black. And I'm gonna do, I like to do this whenever, if the textures I'm doing end up bleeding in too much and they're looking the same, first thing I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna take this palette knife that I had before and I'm gonna highlight some of this rock right here actually. Forgot to do that so there was the rock behind that one. All right, so I had a couple highlights right there. All right, so now I'm going to take the paintbrush and paint in a solid black, little like, it's like a, like something that somebody would like stand on. Maybe put some steps in the side. Like they walked up it. That's what steps are good for. There we go. Some basic little steps right there. Gonna let that dry slightly also. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the same palette knife that I just used, make sure it's nice and clean, spray down some white, nice little blob right here. You should see it off to the side of me. Get some paint onto this palette knife, do some brighter stars right here. I wanna put a big glob of it in the middle of this yellow. So I'm literally gonna scrape the paint and get a big glob of it onto the palette knife. Just let it sit there and drop out. Almost like it's an ink pen. Might be kind of hard to see that white. Yeah, I definitely dig cheap paint brushes. Someone just said cheap Walmart brushes. I dig those as well. But definitely make sure for certain techniques like smaller paint brushes, little guys, buy better ones and clean them. They'll work a lot better actually. Some things just work better when you pay for them, but I get it. With paint like this, you'll go through a ton of them. Now I'm just gonna go through and put a bunch of little guys, almost make like a little nebula out there. So that's going good, I like that. So now I'm gonna take the same palette knife, I cleaned it off, and I'm gonna do some highlights. So we've got a light source on this side. Just doing like a little staircase, sort of steps right here. Just kind of like rocking the palette knife back and forth. Nothing major. All right, so I'm gonna put a little more like rock type highlights here on this side. And still put a little bit on this side because you will get some light coming in. There's planets right there will bring some light as well. Moons, I should say. Be more cosmically correct. All right, so I like that right there. So I'm going to dry this out. Get all this junk out of the way. Sorry for being so junky. so I like this little guy right here. This is little steps. Sometimes, you know, I'm gonna add other rocks. You know what? Let me add a little more black right here. Just gonna do a little rock guy right here so it shows that the formation kind of extends out. There we go. That's all. Just extend it out a little bit. Just give it a little extender. I'm gonna put some highlights right here. Make those look a little more come alive. Rubert, is that how you say it? R-U-B-E-R-T? Hello, thanks from California. Hello. All right, guys, so we're getting there. I know one thing I didn't show in one of the videos was, I think I've showed it a couple times in the past, but this is my little secret weapon right here. Don't be telling nobody about my secret weapon, okay? So this right here, if you ever eat a drumstick, and not the kind you play drums on, the ice cream cone you get at 7-Eleven, chocolate deal. I used to eat them all the time. You should see my belly. All right, so what I did was I cut it down to here, and I like to spray inside of it. I got to keep the inside of this clean, make sure it stays rounded out too. So that's a good tidbit. But I spray on the inside above each bigger star, and it gives it a slight glow. Now this is something you're definitely gonna have to mess with, because I've sprayed off to the left or the right plenty of times, and you may spray where you don't want it to spray. But make sure you use the cheap white. If you use the thick white, it's not gonna give you the effect. It's very hard to do. So I was gonna make sure I clean these tips off. Very important, because that will make it spray weird, as you would know. Spray off to the side. All right, so I always line my finger up towards spraying straight. We had to reconnect. The clock's ticking, so it looks like we're live still, but anybody out there? All right, cool. All right, let's go. All right, so in case you missed it, what I did was I held this barely above a few of the brightest stars you got, the biggest one. So I'm gonna go up to this one. I always spray off to the side to make sure I'm spraying straight and my finger is pointing, and I tap it. And it gives it just a little teeny glow. You should be able to see that. Go over here with this guy, because my finger had moved. Glad I did that. I'm gonna go back over here. I'm literally just trying to just give it a little teeny tap. Just a little tappy tap. All right, let's do this guy right here. So once again, it's not touching it, and I would say it's about, if you can see this, about that far above it. Now I'm gonna go up here with a bright, now what you do is, on this one, I want the glow to be larger around the white dot in the middle of that yellow. What I'm gonna do is raise it a little higher so it sprays wider. All right, so let me come up a little bit. See that right there? I just made that mistake. But you know what? We're just gonna leave it, because I'll turn it into something. All right, so let's try it again. It's tricky, I'm telling you. I've done this 1,000 times, still mess up. All right, so I got it in there. It's glowing a little bit now. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in the center of this and do a darker one. Like get real close. Might even end up looking cool. Y'all can see that. All right, cool. Whatever, I'm gonna roll with the ones and twos. So this right here is dry. And what I wanted to do was add one of my little space dudes, astronauts, whatever. We'll see how big I want him to be. Yeah, I kind of like this guy. He's kind of like this, I don't know, this big-headed alien wearing a suit. That's right, happy accidents. Let's see, if that had been the cheap, the expensive high gloss white paint, Iron Lac, Montana, any of them, that's not the thinner, cheaper paint, that wouldn't have been so happy. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm gonna take this guy, test it again. This is my little stencil dude that I like to go around the universe. I'll just take this guy here, kind of cover one side, go in here and just give it a little, give it a little happy spray. All right, so there's my dude. So now I'm just gonna do a highlight on him, right when it's still wet, so I can get a nice bright one. I'm not sure what, I think the blue is the paint that's behind him. Behind the black in the background. Remember, whatever color you put there, that's the color that's gonna come out when you're etching and highlighting. So you gotta be aware of that. All right, so I need a little bit of a thicker highlight. So I'm gonna go up here and round it out. I'm basically digging in more. I'm gonna put like he's got a little backpack on or something. Didn't really dig that 100%, so I'm gonna take a little bit of black, doesn't matter. Cover that up. There you go. So now it looks like he's got something on his back. Do a little bit of a highlight on this side, but a much smaller one. All right, guys, so I think I'm gonna roll with that right there. I used the larger board today. See how hard this is for me to lift up and get it in the camera. There we go. I think I'm gonna roll with that. So I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget, for anyone who didn't hear before, if you are already subscribed, you gotta be subscribed. You like the video, and leave a comment, please, telling me what you liked or what maybe you would like me to see or do in a future video. I'm gonna pick someone 24 hours from today, so tomorrow, whoever does, and send them this painting for free. I'll contact you. What I'll do is I'll leave a comment on your comment saying, hey, it's yours. We'll get personal information. I'll get your address and so forth. So I hope you guys learned something, and please subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.